Good morning. Pranams to all of you, and welcome to this Sunday's spiritual satsang dedicated to questions and answers from all our Kriya One community worldwide. Today we have in our session Yogacharya Suresh Kodolikar Baba. We have Yogacharya Lucy O'Brien Ma, and I'm Amit Chatterjee. We will be anchoring and answering the questions together. As we always do at the start of a session, we will start with a prayer, and I will request Suresh Baba to do the prayer for us.
Thank you, Baba. Let us close the eyes. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May God protect us all. May God nourish us with wisdom. Om Sahana Vavatu, Om Sahano Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahe. Let us work together with energy and vigor, and let our study be enlightening, useful. May there be peace, peace, peace. Jai Guru.
Thank you, Suresh Baba. Once again, good morning and welcome to all of you. This is a special year for all of us. As you know, this year we are celebrating the 50th anniversary of Sri Gurudev Paramahamsa Hariharanandaji's coming to the West. This is also the 30th year of Sri Guruji Paramahamsa Pragyananandaji coming to the West. And this weekend, yesterday, we celebrated his 65th birthday. So as we start this session today, a thought came to mind. Imagine a movie setting. A movie is being shown, and it is a very compelling movie. There is laughter and joy and happiness. There's also sorrow and pain. And there is some intrigue and suspense too. An Oscar-winning like movie. An interesting thing about this movie is that all the roles are being played by a single actor. The actor is also the director, and now is in the audience enjoying the movie as well. The words of a famous devotional philosopher from Bengal comes to mind, Sri Ram Prasad Sen, who visualized this scene and wrote a song about it. And the words of the song, these are in Bengali, say that, Tumi apni nacho, apni gao, apni dao ma korotali chidananda moikali. O Divine Mother, wherever I see you singing, I see you dancing. You're enjoying and clapping too. Everything is you, my Divine Mother. And that is really this movie of this world where everything is none but God. We all are incarnations of God, but we have forgotten about that. But our gurus are self-realized, and they truly are God in form. The thought comes to mind that our gurus, as presence of God, over the last 50 years in the West, have been teaching us this path of Kriya Yoga, incessantly traveling, sharing their knowledge with us. So much of teachings and lessons for us to comprehend. And even this session is being orchestrated by them. God, as gurus, have prompted some of us to ask questions about their teachings. And God, as gurus, have chosen a few of us to try and answer that. So to me, it feels this is another way for them to bring us together on this beautiful path of Kriya Yoga. So with that, we will start answering the questions that we have received from you. We have received questions from all parts of the world. And I have grouped them together into a few categories of seemingly related questions. Some of the questions, by the way, are on the specifics of Kriya technique. As you know, as per our instructions of the gurus, we do not discuss specifics of techniques online or in a media like this, where the sessions can be watched by those who are not initiated as well. So some specific questions we will not answer in this session, but we will reach back to the questioner and write to them about an answer for what they're looking for. So with that, we will get started. A first set of questions are related to the practice of meditation itself. As you know, Kriya Yoga is all about meditation. And there are some questions about what could be potential obstacles in this path of meditation. Some are generic questions about obstacles, and some are about specific obstacles. So I'll start with the first question on practice, and I'll address this to Lucy Ma and request her to answer. The question is, as we begin sadhana, what are the initial challenges we face, and how do we overcome those challenges? Lucy Ma.
Thank you, Amit Baba. Beautiful to be with you all this morning here. So there are many challenges in meditation and on the spiritual path. So the first one, I think, is embracing that you're trying something new, you're doing something new, or that it's a practice that takes a lot of discipline and it's sticking to it. So you're taking on a practice that you need to stick with. So also in Kriya, we are accepting that we have a lineage of masters, and they're wanting to help us or wanting to guide us. So it sometimes can be a challenge to accept the guidance of the masters. We have to surrender ourselves. There's also often changes that take place in your life. A challenge might be that your partner isn't practicing. You might feel like changes in your diet or something like that. These are simple challenges that actually are part of you taking on a spiritual practice. So many people have the excuses that they don't have time. With a disciplined practice, you actually need to organize yourself. Part of it is making the changes, the commitment to organize yourself, to take on and get the results you want by staying disciplined. So once you start with a loving practice, like Kriya, you have the tools to meet all these challenges, and the masters will help you and guide you through this. For those of you who may not be practicing Kriya, the masters and the universe, if they've sent you with the desire to go on the spiritual path, you will be guided and you'll have great results. So for me, Kriya brings lasting results. It's a subtle but profound changes will happen in the body, mind, and spirit, and your challenges will fall away.
Thank you, Lucy Ma. And a related question on challenges, and this one more about specific challenges. I'll ask Suresh Baba about this. What should we do if we encounter fear or discomfort during deep meditation?
If the meditation is deep, there will not be any discomfort or there will not be any fear. Fear may be there in the beginning. Any practice, not just Kriya Yoga, any practice of meditation, you should do it with love. You should do it with surrender. The more we stay in the body and the mind, more of these issues come up. The moment we start to go deeper, then awareness of body and mind starts to reduce and these problems do not arise. Thank you, Baba.
Thank you, Suresh Baba. Related to this, Suresh Baba, how can we handle emotional upheavals that arise as a result of our practice?
In the beginning, there may be disturbances, there may be emotional upheavals, as the questioner is saying. But we need to be persistent and we need to be consistent. More and more we practice, these issues, they will go away. And like Gurudev used to say, practice with love. Practice with love. He used to say, love, 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 love. Love has so much energy. Love has such a positive and healing energy. Practice it with love. Practice it consistently.
And so rounding up this set on obstacles for meditation, and Lucima and Suresh Baba, you've already talked to some of them. The question is, can you list the barriers which prevent us from going deep into meditation? So aside from the ones that you have talked about, can you think of other obstacles, a list of them that people might be facing so they can relate to that?
I'll take that. The mind. The
There you
mind
go.
is our most huge obstacle. It comes with this birth, it comes with gravity, and our mind is constantly working and is busy. So I think that's the biggest barrier to a quiet, still meditation, is to learn to harness the mind. So when we,
Amitabh,
but you go, yeah.
yeah, no. You finish it, and then I just wanted to add something.
So we just when we head into meditation, we have the goal to just watch our thoughts or let the thoughts go, and we keep getting caught back in them. So just watch your breath and let go and let go. And that's my biggest barrier right there.
Okay, what I wanted to add was mind is a very, very, very powerful instrument. There is a line in Sanskrit, Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha moksha evacha. Mind can bind it down to this world. Mind can bind it down to this material existence. But mind also has the ability to liberate us. So make mind your friend.
Mhm.
Don't fight with mind. Sometimes you need to be firm, and sometimes you need to tell the mind that I'm sitting for meditation. Our Guruji says that be firm with the mind. He has written a book about the mind. And tell the mind that I am sitting for meditation. Please give me calmness. Because yoga chitta vritti nirodha, like Patanjali has said, quieting the mind, removing the thoughts, gradually doing that will remove all the other obstacles.
Thank you, Suresh Baba. And I'll just add that in our practice, as we just even notice the mind coming up with these, hurdles in the way, just the fact of observing creates a little separation. And then we can realize that it is the mind, and we can be prayerful that, oh God, allow me to meditate, take these negative thoughts away. That helps. So thank you. So these were the questions on obstacles in meditation. And by the way, as you're watching, if you have questions which come up into your mind, you can write to us in the chat window. I'll keep an eye on that to see if any questions come up. The next set of questions are also related to the practice of meditation. And these are more about the attainment, the results of the meditation. And some of them talk about perhaps mystical experiences. I'll ask Suresh Baba about the next one. This question asks, is a Kundalini awakening required for Samadhi, or would you be able to ease into Samadhi gradually without the explosive energetic awakening?
Kundalini awakening, you do not need to do consciously. That happens as you practice your meditation. In Kriya Yoga meditation, our pranayama technique does that, and it happens. So you do not need to concentrate on Kundalini and awakening of Kundalini. Practice the technique, and slowly these things happen.
And I will add, Lahiri Baba had a saying in Hindi. He would say, "Hardam laga raho re bhai, banat banat ban jai." His guidance was keep at it, keep practicing. And at one point, you will get there. And this path of Kriya Yoga, it is a well-rounded set of technique of practice, which creates that spiritual, which invigorates the spiritual energy within us, but also creates the nadis, the vehicles for the prana to be strong to sustain that energy. So usually it is a gradual awakening. And as Suresh Baba said, staying at the practice helps us get there. Suresh Baba, there's another one which is intriguing. It says, has anyone ever meditated deep enough to trigger some kind of rebirthing experience? And then how do you handle that?
I can answer it in light of Kriya Yoga because that's the only practice that I do. I have not done any other practice. I do understand. I've read about rebirthing. There is a particular type of breathing technique that you do. But see, any practice of meditation or any spiritual practice, needs to be only one goal: to realizing who we are, what we are, koham. And on that path, if one stays, then there will be calmness and there will be attainment. And what are these attainments? Why do we try to understand who we are? As we try to understand who we are, there will be two elements. And they say dukkha nivritti, paramananda prapti, removing all the negatives, removing all the unhappiness, unpleasantness, and attaining level of happiness, bliss. So that is what it should be, and the deeper you go into meditation, that's the path you would be on. So leave alone these rebirthing, honestly, and other types of techniques, just concentrate on this, concentrate on be clear about what the goal is, and one will get there.
Suresh Baba, you spoke about the goal. As we know, our gurus say the goal for our practice is self-realization. And all of our gurus, they attain that state. They attain the state of nirvikalpa samadhi. There are a couple of questions on the experience about in nirvikalpa samadhi. So I'll ask Suresh Baba about these as well. When the nirvikalpa state is established as a continuous state, what happens to the breath? Does it come and go, or is it the breathless state in an ongoing way?
Thank you for asking that, directing the question to me. I was fortunate in observing our Gurudev Paramahamsa Hariharanandaji enter into Nirvikalpa state samadhi, stay in that state and come out of it. So Nirvikalpa state, when he was in that Nirvikalpa state, there was total silence. He did not have awareness of his body. Somebody had to support his body. And then he had a pleasant smile on his face. You could obviously see when there are thoughts going on, they get reflected on your face. There was total peace. Now, when he came out of that, it took quite a while for him to get back to the normal mode of life, because he was pretty advanced in his age at that time. In the earlier age, when he was young, he used to go into Nirvikalpa Samadhi. He used to come out and resume his normal duty. He used to be in constant Samadhi, constant Nirvikalpa state of Samadhi. But when that state continues, you are like a normal human being. But you are God in human being in God. And that is what makes the difference between us and those who have attained that state.
What happens to the mind, Suresh Baba, of one who is established in Nirvikalpa samadhi? Do their thoughts continue to come and go, or is there simply stillness and silence?
Very, like Patanjali talked about, the very definition of yoga is yoga chitta vritti nirodha. So that's the essential part of practicing any type of yoga. And that is Yoga Sutra's first chapter is Samadhi Pada. So this is Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. When the mind is completely stopped producing waves in the mind, that means the thoughts in the mind, then that is a state of yoga. And that is Samadhi, because this is part of Samadhi state. So when that When that mind is not producing any waves, that lake of mind is completely still, there will not be any thoughts in that. Does that cover it, Baba?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. But perhaps the question also is, this is after the samadhi going back to the normal state when the person is back. Is the mind still thinking of thoughts as we do?
Absolutely. You are a normal human being, but you are a human being. You're God in human being in God. You appear to be a normal human being, but the process with which the person functions is different.
Yes,
Thoughts
the
will come. Thoughts
aligned
cannot be stopped.
cosmic mind, right? God's will. That's how the mind sort of functions. So we'll finish up this segment on mystical experiences with a follow-up. Eric asks on the chat window, and perhaps this is related to the feeling of rebirthing experience or sudden Kundalini awakening. He says, sometimes you don't have a choice when it crops up. What is your guidance, Suresh Baba?
One needs to meditate. One needs to meditate, and one needs to meditate with love. Because at least in Kriya Yoga meditation, there is a guarantee by our masters that there will not be any harm coming to you. There will not be any distraction in terms of how it will disturb your meditation, how it will disturb your life. You are protected. Practice. Like Amit Baba, you said, Lady Baba saying, you need to practice. And like Hariharananda, you said, practice it with love. Merge these two things together, there will not be any negative. These things will not crop up. In the beginning, they may, but persistent meditation will give you the freedom from those.
Thank you, Suresh. Well, practice meditation with love. Gurus will take care of these. There are a few questions on techniques. As we said, we will not answer specifics about them, but there's some couple which are generic, so we'll take them. A Kriyavan asks that I've been doing Kriya Yoga since the initiation, but I struggled to keep up 2 times a day when I wasn't keeping well and had very bad pain in the body. What is recommended during these times to keep this vow of keeping the Kriya meditation going twice a day? Or could we do a break in the practice? So I'll encourage the seeker who has asked to reach out to a teacher or attend a Kriya Yoga intensive after the initiation. Some of these questions are answered over there. But I will provide a generic guidance which might help us with questions of this nature. And the Kriyavan had also another question related to this. Another time was when we were traveling for 24 hours in the plane. Sitting in the plane, are there parts of the Kriya practice that we can do? So both specifics about the techniques. I'll share a small incident which has stayed in my mind. And this was about a question answer session that Sri Gurudev and Sri Guruji were doing together. Sri Gurudev, during his later years in Miami, he had gotten old in the body, and he would like Guruji to take these sessions, and he would sit behind Guruji, and Guruji is speaking and Sri Gurudev is behind him. You may have watched these videos, beautiful videos. So in a session like that, somebody had asked Sri Guruji specifically about how long does it take to do a full session of Kriya practice? And Guruji is explaining, and he's saying, you can do the entire practice in about 30 minutes. No sooner does he say this, Hariharananda Baba prods Sri Guruji from behind and says, no, tell them, they can do it in 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
And then Sri Guruji looks back, looks at it and says, yes, Baba. Then he turns back, faces the audience and says, you need to practice this 24 hours a day. So, all of these things are true. You can practice the Kriya technique as it is taught in half an hour. Sri Gurudev says that initially you may feel daunted by wanting, a practice which takes half an hour. And then he says that, just for 5 minutes, sit down and do a part of the practice, and the teachers help us figure out which part of the practice, and that will be good. But then Sri Guruji says it's a 24-hour practice. And what he means by that is ultimately Kriya Yoga, the full manifestation of that is when in every breath, we remember that we are the power of God playing out through this body. And in every breath, we remember God and gurus. So to answer the question of the seeker in generic terms, when you're sick, when you're unable to practice, or when you're traveling, you're with others and you cannot practice, just remembering God within, mentally bowing, thinking of God is a beautiful way of keeping the Kriya practice going. And as I said, specific details, we can offer that in email, or you can attend an intensive where some of these will be clarified.
So I'll add to love, love, love throughout every breath, every day as well.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Lucy, I have a couple of questions for you. There are two questions, seems related to me. They are about God being formless or God in form, also about prayer. I'll read the first one. It's a little bit long, but I think it will be helpful if we listen to this. In my practice, I'm very comfortable being a devotee. Sometimes it comes to me that I'm a child of our Divine Mother. I'm often in tears because I feel so much love and gratitude for her, for Kriya, for the Guru, lineage, etc. I find it very hard to reconcile this attitude with the idea that we should not see ourselves as egos that worship, but rather as consciousness that is one with the Divine Mother or formless.
Mm-hmm. What a beautiful experience to experience Divine Mother in that way. So pranams to you for that. Regarding the conflict, there are two ways that you can find and experience God: in the formless state and in form. In the Gita, it talks about bhakti, loving and devotion to God as the highest form. So I think since you have such a strong connection at this point with Divine Mother, worship and love God in that form. Let her guide you. Let her teach you. Let her show you what is to do, to where you're going. If that makes you uncomfortable, ask her, talk to her, let her guide you again. When there comes a time that you are to learn and practice in the formless, then that will change. Gurudev spent 10 years in seclusion, 5 years meditating on the form, 5 years on the formless. So it does change and move. I just think you have such a blessing that Divine Mother is with you, and feel that grace and be happy for that blessing and connection.
That's beautiful. Amit Baba, can I add a little bit? Lucy Ma, you answered it beautifully. And I really had the same kind of feeling for this mother who asked the question. Mother, just to add, that definition of Kriya Yoga given by Patanjali is tapas swadhyaya ishvara pranidhanani. Love for God, surrender to God is an important element in Kriya Yoga. It's an important element in the practice of any form of yoga. So you're on the right path. Don't move away from it.
Thank you, Suresh Baba. Lucy Ma, you talked about speaking to the Divine Mother, getting her guidance. So the next question is about prayer from the same person. She says, please explain the relationship between detachment from desires and praying. Is it that prayer is good, but we must not be attached to whether or not we receive what we ask for?
Yes, beautiful question. So to me, prayer is the active communication with the divine, and detachment from your desires. It's not communication, but that's the state that can bring you closer to being able to successfully offer and accept the outcomes of your prayers. So Yogananda teaches us to pray unceasingly. So he says we are to keep our minds still and to keep the call for God fervently in our hearts and minds. He wants us to be constantly and inwardly talking to God, and then God cannot remain away from us. So where we find God is in silence. So we go and we speak to God. We do that communicating from our silent place, and God will answer us from that, in that silence. So as we're talking with God, we may want something. We have great desires. We're demanding something of God. What we need to do is to pray sincerely and to really ask and communicate with God from that stillness, that silence. And when you get to that silent place, you're not the little child banging my feet. I want it, I want it, I want it. You are in a mature state. So we're also told that all prayers will be answered. Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes no, and sometimes it's wait, not now. But we're cautioned to keep our prayers not as our way of getting what we want from God, but as a way of communicating and finding the connection with our path with God, what God wants of us. A beautiful Christian prayer is let thy will be done. And that's a wonderful way to get into the practice of surrendering to what the answer to the prayer is and how to accept that answer.
Thank you, Lucy ma'am. Beautifully said. Suresh Baba, you spent a lot of time with Sri Gurudev. I'll ask you this question. If Hariharananda always emphasized searching the fontanelle for God with a very short breath, then why do we do the full spinal Kriya Pranayam? Is it like charging the battery first, cleaning out the pipes perhaps?
Practicing full Kriya Pranayama is part of the Kriya Yoga meditation technique. But what Baba is asking us to do is stay in the fontanelle. And there, this is the way to practice Kriya beyond your meditation throughout the day. So they are complementary, and you can, like anytime you have few minutes of the time and your mind is really distracted, concentrate, go to the top of your head and concentrate there, like Gurudev is asking us to do.
And Suresh Baba, related to that, there's a question in the chat window from Regis. When focusing on the fontanelle, what kind of feeling should we be looking for? A pulsation or a constant pressure or vibration? Should it be in one spot constantly or moving around in the fontanelle? I want to make sure I'm experiencing the correct feeling.
Two things. One, just concentrating at the fontanelle, treat that as separately. What you get out of that, that could be different. And what you get from that, accept it with love. It could be all the things that you wrote.
Thank you. So we will shift a little from meditation to more of the theory and the philosophy. There are a few questions on karma. The first one says, due to the practice of Kriya Yoga, does prarabdha, past karma, also get impacted? If yes, do karmas get simply eliminated or they get fructified earlier? Does the practice of Kriya Yoga impact only the past bad karmas or good karmas as well? As we go into this set of karmas and questions, I'll just share a simple story which in my mind sort of clarifies the different types of karma. This I've heard from Sri Guruji. And he says that imagine there's an archer. The archer has a bow in his hand. He has some arrows in the quiver and in his back. He's perhaps hunting and he has shot an arrow towards his target and he has an arrow on his bow ready to be shot. So this is the setup. And this beautifully explains karma. He says that the arrow which has been shot, which is traveling towards the target, is prarabdha, is destiny. It has already started fructifying, right? And in this case, it is likely going to hit the target. So that is prarabdha karma. The arrows which are in the quiver, we have more control over them. They have not been used yet. For example, if we chose to destroy them somehow, then we would never aim them at a target. So these karmas, which are in the arrows which are in the quiver, are like sanchita karma. They're there within us to perhaps take shape someday, but through our practice, perhaps we can do something about it. And Sri Guruji says that the one which is on the arrow, we are about to shoot that arrow. That is the most important moment for us. We can do something about that here and now. So he says, be very careful, because that is the current karma, and be very careful about how you act. So I thought this story will help us understand karma. So I'll take a stab at the first part of the question on prarabdha. Does kriya impact prarabdha karma? If so, do the karmas simply get eliminated, or they get fructified earlier? So going back to my example, if you think of that arrow which has been shot, which is now traveling towards the target, in all likelihood, that is already predestined. That is, in all likelihood, it's going to hit the target. So also with destiny, the thing which has already started taking fruit will perhaps take shape as was designed by God and gurus. But even there is something known as the grace of God and gurus. For example, imagine the arrow which is traveling towards a target. Perhaps there is a gust of wind, or perhaps somebody makes a noise and the target runs away. So there is a chance that the blow is lessened or it missed completely. So that is the grace of God and gurus. So prarabdha destiny is, the word comes from destiny, is destined to happen, but with faith in love and God and gurus, and with their grace, that can also be averted, can become a lesser blow, or can fructify earlier. I'll request Lucy Ma or Suresh Baba to see if they want to add to that.
Baba, you described it beautifully. I have nothing to add.
Okay. Then Lucy Ma, maybe I'll ask you about this one, or Suresh Baba, feel free to chime in. Is destiny predetermined, or destiny can be determined by present action?
I'll follow up, as you spoke very eloquently on karma. I think we should definitely believe that everything we do is going to affect, has outcomes. And our Kriya practice particularly can change the outcome of how things work in our body. We can make our bodies more healthy. We can make our minds more clear. We can make our emotions, mitigate the emotions. So we can definitely change our destiny. My destiny may have been to learn Kriya Yoga, but if I had not taken that one little step to learn Kriya Yoga, the outcome would be completely different. So as far as destiny, it's hard to say, but I think we should all be working diligently to make changes to how we live our lives and how the outcome becomes.
Thank you, Lucy Ma. And I think you answered this other question. I'll read this still as well. This is also about effort and free will. It is often said that everything is orchestrated by the universe or God, and we are merely players in this grand design. Our birth, death, and destiny are all determined by God. Given this, should we be concerned if our efforts do not yield immediate results? Should we continue to put in more effort and stress over our work? Or should we trust in God and wait for his timing? So it talks about, you spoke about our effort. Do you want to add anything to this?
Oh, yes, we should never wait. We should always be taking action. And that's where we're talking about staying always in the fontanelle, you're connected with the soul, and you are diligently watching and fervently paying attention to what is happening around you. So trusting in God does not mean sitting back and just letting the world take its course. We have free will. We are given free will. Yogananda is very adamant about us using our free will and using it constantly and toward our goal. So make the changes. Don't waste a minute. We're on this planet right now. We have this life. If you've taken initiation, you have the tool of Kriya Yoga to speedily change your life. And I highly recommend it. My story, just briefly, is that I was very depressed when I started learning Kriya, and it changed, I practiced, it changed the way my brain fired, my emotions settled down. I was not going up, down anymore. And Kriya is the middle way, the middle path. And it's, you are able to change your life completely through this practice. So I recommend you don't waste a minute waiting for something else to happen.
Thank you, Lucy Ma. There's a question on specific Kriya technique from Austin in Texas. I will not read this question out. We will answer this in email to you as it is specific about a technique. There's another question on technique, but this is easier to answer in a generic way. This is from South America. The question is asked in Spanish. Translated, it reads, as a recent initiate and having spent some time practicing Kriya Yoga, can I show these exercises to other people in order to add to their regular Hatha Yoga practice? And the answer, we humbly request that you please do not. The Kriya Tech, there are two reasons for this. Our gurus remind us that we are not to disclose the Kriya technique to anyone who's not initiated. You can encourage them to come to an initiation. Our ashrams, our centers are always willing to initiate people. And there's also a reason for this. Those who have been initiated, they know that we teach the technique after purifying the body, after getting the blessings of the gurus into the body through a detailed initiation process. Without undergoing that initiation, practicing these techniques will not help us and might even cause some difficulties. So once again, a humble request to all Kriyavans that we are all blessed to come to this path. Please do not disclose the technique that you have learned to one who has not been initiated. You can share your experiences. You can have them contact our ashrams and centers, and they'll be happy to initiate them. Suresh Baba, there is a question about astral beings. I will ask this to you. Just as there are physical beings in this physical plane, there are astral entities in the astral plane. So as we meditate deeper and move from the sthula to the sukshma, how do we avoid those non-friendly entities?
I'm going to sound like a broken record. When you meditate, do meditate with love. And again, I want to repeat that Kriya Yoga, our masters have guaranteed and assured us that no harm will come to you. If you're meditating and fortunately you're going deeper into meditation, try to go even deeper and even deeper. There is a lot of scope for that. In the beginning, these negatives may appear, but you need to transcend them and you need to go beyond them. Use all the means that you have. You can use, like Lucy Ma was explaining about prayer. Pray with deepest love. Practice with deepest love. Be consistent, be persistent. There will be no negative coming into you or affecting you. Physical and astral, Baba, they're related.
Thank you, Suresh Baba. There's a question on, since we're talking about Kriya and being initiated, there's a question on the chat window. I'll ask Suresh Baba about this. What do we do when we don't have the money to become initiated? How to learn Kriya and follow the path when you can't even become initiated?
if you don't have money, Gurudev used to say that these are the offering that you make. Money represents your physical body. You offer flower during initiation. They represent your astral body, your subtle body. You offer fruit. They represent your causal body. So this is an offering. And that is why Gurudev used to say that save money little by little by little. And when you have the money, you come for initiation. Or talk with the teacher, talk with the center leader. We will not, if your desire is so great for initiation, money will not stop you from it. There will be some way that will be found out.
Thank you, Suresh Baba. Going back to the astral experiences, here's a question from Yoganandaji's Gita, God Talks with Arjuna. The question says, in some writings, Paramahamsa Yogananda mentions, when the soul is blessed to merge with the vast ocean of blissful spirit, it takes care not to lose its identity if it wants to come back and chronicle its experiences of the infinite for the enlightenment of the world. Can you share your experiences with this, if this is possible? So this, I'll just chime in. This is not from my own experience, but you referred to Yoganandaji's writings, and all of us who have read Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahamsa Yoganandaji, he talks about his experience when Sri Yukteswarji, who had already left his body, then appears before him. And there's a beautiful chapter on a conversation between them, where Sri Yukteswarji explains that he is now at a higher plane and he's teaching more sincere beings who are in that plane the same way to get to God. So as you know, in Hindu cosmology, there are 14 planes of existence, that there are 7 higher planes and 7 lower planes. Earth, from the earth, there are 7 lower planes and a set of planes higher than us. So when we finish this journey on earth, depending upon our spiritual attainment, we can be on one of these planes. And so spiritual people who have been doing their technique sincerely, they're usually in some of the higher planes. And in these higher planes as well, they can continue their practice in a deeper way. And it is really the will of the God. A guru who is God realized is merged with God all the time. But in this cosmic drama and in God's will, the guru may come back to earth to get other people onto this path to enlightenment, or they might be in a higher plane teaching seekers how to meditate, how to really get merged in God. And if the will of God is so, finally there is complete merger, and that's how this happens. So that's how the planes of and astral planes sort of generally work. We'll finish up with one last question from the submitted set. This is a general question. And it says that Guruji often refers to the 8 Chiranjeevis, the people who are immortal. And the questioner says that she understands that Babaji is one of them. So the specific question is, during the celebrations during Guru Purnima, Shri Guruji mentioned 8 ancient beings which are still alive. One of them is sage Vyasadeva, and the 8th one is Mahavatar Babaji. Can you please speak about the other ones?
You want me to address that? Okay.
Yes.
There is a shloka about these 7 Chiranjeevis, and I'm going to read that. Ashwathama Balir Vyaso Hanumanasya Vibhishana Krupacharya Cha Parashurama Saptaita Chiranjeevanam. So these are the 7: Ashwathama, Bali, Vyasa, Hanuman, Bibhishana, Krupacharya, Parashuram, and as we understand in several disciplines of yoga, they understand Babaji Maharaj is a deathless soul. His body has stayed young. He has appeared to many many Kriyavans and many advanced practitioners of yoga. So Ashwatthama, he is comes from Mahabharata. I won't spend too much time on that on all these, but I'll be very brief. Ashwatthama, he was a very brave soldier. He was the son of Dronacharya, and he mistakenly understood Pandavas, and he wanted to kill them, but they were Pandavas' children. He killed them, and he also wanted to kill uh, Abhimanyu's son. So when Uttara was pregnant, Abhimanyu's wife was pregnant. And that is why Lord Krishna was very, very, very upset. And they say that he had a jewel in his forehead. So he removed that, and that pain, unbearable pain, he wanted to experience, because that's what he had caused all others to experience pain. And he said that with that, you're going to live forever. So that is Ashwatthama. Bibhishana, as we know, he's Ravana's brother. He was very religious, very pious, lived a right life, tried to give right advice to Ravana. Ravana did not listen, but he went to Sri Rama's side and he did all the right thing. That's why Rama had blessed him with this deathless state of life. Hanuman, many of us, we know about Hanuman, and he did totally devoted and dedicated life to Sri Rama. To show his dedication to Sri Rama, this may sound a little gruesome for those who have not heard the story, but he opened up his chest and he was able to display that Sri Rama and Mother Sita, they were there. This kind of devotion, this kind of worship, this kind of work that he did for Rama. So Mata Sita, she had blessed him with Chiranjeev, deathless life. There's Kripacharya. Kripacharya was the teacher of Kauravas and Pandavas, and he was also blessed with Chiranjeeva blessing. He lived in the state of deathless state. Parshurama was son of Jamadagni, who was a very, very angry, very advanced guru, and so was Parshurama. He was expert in all different kind of weapons, and his goal was to save humanity. And they say that he is living, and if the time comes towards destruction of humanity, he will be the one who will come and save humanity. Bali, Bali is considered to be a very, very brave warrior. He conquered all the levels of existence, and the gods were scared that what is going to happen to all of us. So they went to Lord Vishnu, and who took avatar of Vamana, a little boy. And then he asked uh, Bali for just give me the 3 steps, give me the space that I can use for 3 steps. So in 2 steps, Vamana covered everything, and he said, now I have one more step. There is nothing left. So that's when Bali bowed his head and he said, put your foot on my head. And that is how he removed that problem that he had created for the world. Vyasadeva knows everybody. Vyasadeva is Mahabharata. He had written Mahabharata. He had written Puranas and many scriptures. Very rare to find a living being intelligent as Vyasadeva. He was Chiranjeev. There is, and we know about Mahavatar Babaji Maharaj. Some scriptures talk about there is another person, another being called Markandeya, who was a devotee of Lord Shiva. And Yama, the god of death, he came to take Markandeya. So he prayed to Lord Shiva, and his devotion to Lord Shiva was so great. Lord Shiva was able to defeat Yama and give the boon of Chiranjeeva to Markandeya. So these are the stories from the Hinduism. So I hope you got all the other names in the book. Sorry,
Thank you,
Baba, I
Suresh.
took a little too much time on this one.
That was a beautiful explanation. Thank you, Suresh Baba. There's a question from Ahmedabad in India, which is specific about the technique, which I don't think will be appropriate to discuss here. We will answer an email. With that, I think we have answered all the questions that were submitted to us and those which came up in the chat window. Thank you, Suresh Baba and Lucy Ma, for helping our seekers with your beautiful answers. We have 4 minutes left, Lucy Ma. I'd request you to do a short meditation for us and close with a prayer.
Thank you, Baba. Thank you both for this wonderful discourse. So let us sit straight. Take a breath. Get in your body. Turn off the outside world. Watch your breath as you inhale and out and exhale. Feel the presence of God within you. Let your mind sweep through your whole body, feeling the presence of God within you. Always with your love and attention on the breath. This state of calmness and peace is always available to us and as quickly can be reached as we just stopped right now, put our attention on our breath and our focus on God. If we watch every breath, we can be in the presence of God in every breath. This is Guru Dev's direction. So in closing, Asato ma sat kamaya, tamaso ma jyotir kamaya, mrityo ma amrityam kamaya. Lead us from falsehood to truth. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Thank you all. Bless you all. Maintain focus on God and gurus at all times and feel the peace and the promise of their presence.
Thank you, Amit Baba. Thank you, Lucy Ma.
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru Baba.